Today we're going to be coloring a face with alcohol markers, and this is going to be a little bit of a different video because I'm not going to speed the footage too much. I'm just gonna cut off like pieces where like my hand is lifted or I went to the bathroom or things like that, so you can kind of even follow along if you want to. Hi friends, how are you today? We're going to be using this beautiful set of pastel tones from Ohuhu. I really like their selection of colors for this set, so if you want to check these markers out, I have a link in the description for you. But it doesn't really matter the colors you have at home as long as you have a few different skin tones to work with. And I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to follow along with me even if you don't really have the exact colors I have. The first thing I'm doing here is erasing the pencil marks a little bit, not all of it. I actually have seen other artists sketch with a colored pencil. I haven't tried this yet, but this seems like a genius idea. I have to research a little more, but apparently there are colored pencils that will like dissolve as you use the alcohol markers with, so that would be perfect. I have to try that. And I recommend you sketch with an H pencil, so like a 4H or even like a 5H or something like that, because then it's going to be really easy to erase. It's going to be really light. It's not going to be see-through when you go along with the markers. And now it's time to start coloring. I honestly am a little overwhelmed with the amount of colors I have, and the colors really don't match that well, like the lid of the marker. So this is why I'm like testing on a side paper. I usually do this previously and throughout the whole drawing. So when you see me doing that, this is what I'm doing. Like I'm testing the colors and kind of like selecting the markers that I'm going to use, because you know, when you have too many options, it's just overwhelming. You don't really need that many colors. You could actually color a face with 3 or 4 tones of the same color. It really depends on the skin tone you're trying to create. This girl that I'm going to be painting, I'm using a reference picture. I don't know if she's black or brown, but like her skin tone is dark. She has a darker complexion. And one tip that I always give to you guys is to start on the shadows. Also, I forgot to do a disclaimer. This is not going to be like a realistic coloring, okay? This is going to be like a stylized coloring, which I think it's more fun. I think it looks better, and I love to experiment with this style to see how the alcohol ink kind of like mingles together on the paper. So yeah, I like doing that. And as you can see here, I started with a mid-tone. So I didn't start with like my darkest tone because that's scary at first, right? So you can get a mid-tone. I used this like caramel color, and I looked at my reference picture and tried to go over just where it was really dark. And then I went a tone below, so like a little bit lighter color, this like beige tone. And now I'm just starting to cover the most part of the face where I can. This is kind of like a safe color to start. It's definitely way lighter than the result is gonna be. You want to start a little bit lighter, right? Because if you can't go lighter once you went dark, but you can go dark as when you're lighter. So I'm adding this lighter color and just making sure to leave the white spots. So even if you're going over the darker spots with this light color, we're going to go over them again with a darker color later. This portrait here is a little bit different because she's wearing glasses. And, you know, why do it simple if you can make it complicated, right? Like, let's just complicate it, guys. It's more fun to I'm joking. Don't make it yourself complicated. I just really like this reference picture, and I was like, oh, I really like the colors, and I don't know, I liked her, so I wanted to draw her, and I thought it would be a good subject for my study. Also, I find that like darker skin tones are a little bit harder for me to draw because you have to go darker, and I'm scared of going darker. I'm scared of shading too much and making it too dark and then basically ruining the drawing. So this is a good practice for us, guys. As you can see, I picked on a little bit of a darker color now. This color, I noticed that the first tone that I used, the caramel tone, it was a little bit too yellow. So as you can see, this is like a light brown, and this is not going to be our darkest color yet. But you'll see that as you grow in confidence, you're gonna be able to go a little bit darker as you draw. I feel like I kind of fucked up a little bit on the chin. Sorry about the cursing, but it's my video. I say what I want. Anyway, I really think that this light that I did like on the right side of her chin, I ended up making it a little bit too dark, so not ideal. And I really like this layered effect. So if you were to do a realistic painting, you would work a lot more on the blending and blending the colors together, and then you would have to start more with the shadows and then move on to the lighter colors, so that the lighter colors can like pull the darkness from, you know, the dark spots and just blend it into the light. But here I'm trying not to do that. So as you can see, most of my brush strokes are just like straight lines, right? I'm just basically hatching. Do you see what's happening? I don't know, it almost feels like a painting in a way, you know, like I'm not trying to make this skin look like skin, you know, I'm just trying to portray this girl in a like stylized way. And as you can see, I'm going back and forth with the tones. So I use a darker tone and then a lighter tone, then a darker tone again, then a lighter tone again, and just keep working on the contrast and how the shadows just converse with each other. And of course, you don't need to draw these glasses, but I think it's a good exercise for us to just get out of that perception of like, I'm drawing a girl, and go back to the shapes and angles technique, which usually is what make the drawing looks good in my experience. So if you're not familiar with this, I talk about this in a lot of my videos. And basically, when you're working with a reference, you're not trying to copy that specific thing that you're copying from your reference or drawing from the reference. You're trying to transform everything you see into shapes and angles, and you're trying to portray that in your drawing. And then when you like look up and, you know, lift your head from the paper, you're gonna see that things are turning into the same reference that you have in front of you. If you try to draw glasses or a girl and you're consciously drawing lips and consciously drawing a girl, consciously drawing eyes, our brains, they tend to interpret these concepts like, you have seen eyes and girls and lips and glasses before. All of the glasses and eyes and girls that you've seen before, your brain's gonna try to help you by telling you, I've seen a girl before, this is what girls look like. I've seen eyes before, this is what eyes look like. But you don't want to draw just any girl or just any eye from your previous experiences in life. You want to draw this girl from this reference. Is this making sense? So to not let your brain like cloud your perception of what you see, because your brain will do that, okay? It's inevitable. Like your brain will try to interpret everything you're looking at in your reference picture before you even start drawing. Okay, it's automatic. You're gonna look at something, your brain's gonna try to interpret it. So the exercise of drawing from reference and trying to portray like the likeness of a person, like the practice of transforming everything you look at into shapes and angles, it's a way for you to not let your brain like cloud your perception. It's easier for your brain to interpret because a circle is a circle, a square is a square, a trapezoid is a trapezoid, an angle like this is an angle like this. You know what I mean? It's not an eye. There's so many eyes out there. There's so many glasses out there. There's so many lips. There's so many faces. So many girls. There's so many eyebrows, right? You've seen so many of those. So instead of letting your brain decide before you even start drawing, what is it going to look like? You just basically put it in your mind. Instead of I'm drawing an eye, I'm drawing a line on this angle. I'm drawing a circle, a half circle like this. So you're going to look at each element in your drawing, see how far they are from each other. Look at the negative spaces, right? So the space between each eye. What's the shape of that? You know, it's nothing specific in your drawing, right? So you have to kind of like interpret the shadows, interpret the shapes. Yeah, you do the same thing with the shadows, right? When you're coloring, you're gonna look at the shape of the shadows. You're not gonna be like, oh, I'm shading her cheek. What's the shape of this shadow? And what's the shape of the shadow next to it? What's the shape of each color inside of this reference picture? Of course, it's a real face, so it's gonna be all blended. You have to kind of like separate the values of tones in your brain, right? But this will help you draw some something like glasses, for example. And this is how you learn how to draw absolutely anything, okay? You can look at anything and turn it into shapes and angles, and you're gonna be able to draw that. Like drawing glasses, it was overwhelming to me too. I've never done it before, I don't think. But again, all you have to do is look at the shapes of the shadows. And on glasses, it's really easy because the shapes are, they're kind of like reflections. They're not gonna make that much sense logically in your brain. If you try to interpret logically, like I'm drawing these glasses and these are glasses and this is a reflection, it's confusing. But if you look at it and it's like, this is a circle, this is a lighter square. Do you see like there's the light spots that are left right underneath in the lower part of the glasses? When you're looking at the reference, you don't really pay attention to that reflection. So it would be, my natural logical interpretation would be to color the whole face and not draw that reflection. But when I saw the shape of the reflection, I was able to see the reflection. If that makes any sense. I don't know if I'm over explaining this. Yeah, I learned this from a teacher many years ago. I was a teenager, and it completely changed my drawing skills. If you guys are interested, I can do a video like that, following a reference. And I don't know, maybe it helps if I show the reference and we all draw from the same reference. So another thing I want to tell you about this process is that if you have it available to you, use some pinks and purples. It doesn't matter the skin tone. It could be a super dark complexion or a super light complexion. Of course, if it's super light, you're gonna try to find the lightest one, so you don't want like a bright pink or anything like that. But you're gonna find some like light purple or like light pink or even like a light blue and add some details, right? So as you can see, I added a little bit of purple on the neck, I added a little bit of purple on the lips, and a little bit of pink. So these are just slight details that with practice, if you do a lot of drawing from reference, you're gonna be able to pick up on like noticing this hidden colors, basically. So these are colors that are like, of course the skin is brown, but there's blood running underneath, and that makes it like purple in some spots. It's so slight, you're not supposed to really see the purple, and after it's done, as you can see, you don't really see the purple. You would look at this girl and you wouldn't say that she's purple or that there is any purple in her skin. But if you add some purples to the shadows, it's gonna give a more like natural feel. And also, like, I think this creates more of like a cinematic effect. As you can see, I'm using here a super light tone to kind of not really blend, but like to make the transition from the mid-tones to the white spots in her forehead and other spots in the drawing more smooth, except in the glasses, because we want that transition to be drastic because it's a reflection, right? It's not a transition. You know, you see the difference in like the white spot under her glasses and the white spot in her forehead, right? We don't want that to be the same. Now I'm going to be working on her hair, which I was like, because I'm working on with this pastel set, I don't really have that many dark browns. I really wanted to keep working with this set. I didn't want to like mix it with other markers that I already had, because I was testing these markers for another video, which I already posted. If you want to see the review of this specific marker set, go to my page, or actually I can link it here somewhere. But I was like, I'm gonna have to work with what I have. So I started with this gray, which is, I think I'm getting that brown that I used for the face. And when you add one color on top of another and see like what happens, yeah, I think that's so interesting. So here in this case, I'm just using the browns on the dark spots on her braid. So I'm going through most of her hair, but I'm basically leaving the gray. I'm not looking at the reference picture right now because I'm just looking at the drawing and narrating it to you guys. If I remember correctly, the original hair like doesn't have that many lights, so I kind of like added that just to, I don't know, it's just easier to make it seem like hair. So yeah, this is what I'm doing. I did leave a lighter spot one side of her hair that, as you can see, kind of aligns with the light spot on her forehead. Yeah, and the more you go over with your marker, the more you can intensify the shadows a little bit. Ugh, I'm hating so much the dark spot on her chin. I made it way too dark and I'm not really loving it, but it is what it is. I'm still adding a little bit more shadows. I like to go like back and forth, and as you like lift your head, sometimes you're like, whoa, it needs more darkness, it needs more shadows, or whoa, this is too dark, right? And this is the whole process of breaking things down into shapes. You're not really focused all the time on like the whole like big picture of the drawing. You're kind of like focused on each detail one at a time, and I like that. I think it's kind of like a brain exercise too. This is kind of like a gray, like a bluish gray, and I noticed that the gray usually adds darkness to things, even if it's a light gray. If you add like a light gray on top of like your pink or your beige, you're going to create like a darker tone. And sometimes for it to not look too gray, I use like, for example, if I'm doing a pink, I can do like a light pink, light gray, and then a light pink again, so you get like a darker tone of that specific pink. So even if you have like just 2 or 3 skin tones, you can kind of like make it darker and play with the tones using a few grays as well, maybe like a few browns. Also, don't forget to add some shadows on the insides of the eyes. I really like to focus a lot on the eyes because I think it really gives more life to your drawing. Here I'm using a fine liner to add more details. So I'm basically going over the eyelid lines and the lashes line. So like the 2 lines on top of the eyes, the pupils. Of course, you want to leave a light spot. Never forget the light spot. You can also add that later with a white gel pen if you would like. The nostrils is also usually one of like the dark spots. Also, the opening of the mouth, right? So like right in between both lips, usually there's like a super dark spot there as well. You want to be careful with the fine liner, especially using a black liner, because it's really rare that we have like an actual black on our faces. You know, unless you're wearing makeup, which this girl is. So I'm going to do the lashes and make her eyes look a little like pop a little more, right, using the liner as if it's eyeliner. You can also use the fine liner to add the hairs. So as you can see, like her eyebrows are brown underneath, so I used a brown marker, and I'm using the fine liner to do the hairs, and I'm using the fine liner to do the eyebrow hairs. You really want to be careful here. I'm trying not to go over the brown because I don't want it to be too visible. I don't want the hairs to stand out too much, and the fine liners are great to like just add a little bit of definition to little spots here and there. So like around the ears, the neck, right? I contoured a little bit of like the left side of her face, which again, it's not realistic, but it looks cute. I like it. I'm also going over the hair, and this is where I'm gonna spend most of this fine liner time here, because I'm gonna draw each hair. And here my camera died. I'm so sorry, guys. So this is a different angle that I was filming, and I only have like a little bit of this part. But basically, I'm just going with the fine liner over the hair, like all over it in the length of the hair. So like following from the roots down, and then on the braids, it's basically like from top to the next intersection of hair. And to do the braids, you hatch a little bit harder on the intersections and make it lighter in the middle of each section of hair, and then you're gonna get this result, which looks really cute. You can even intensify it a little more if you would like. Here I'm finally getting the courage to contour some spots of the glasses. It's not all of it because there's a lot of like light shining through the glasses. And actually, if you have a compass at home, use the compass. As you can see, the circles of the glasses, they're not circular very well. They're pretty bad circles, but whatever. I don't mind it that much. I kind of like that it's imperfect, specifically. But if you want to be more precise with your circles, use a compass. And you can basically outline, as you can see, like I just outlined the insides and not through the whole circle, just some sides. So like kind of like in a diagonal angle, the upper left corner and then the lower right corner. You can also use the white gel pen, which is amazing. I was trying to make the glasses reflect a lot, so I want the circle to be very clear, and the markers kind of like bled through that a little bit. So this is where the white gel pen just comes into magic and just fix that all for us and just goes over the marker spots. I also love, this is so satisfying to me, to use the white gel pen to add some like light spots on the lips. You can also add some light spots in the nose and also on the eyes. If you think you went over too much with your white gel pen, you can also go over with your marker again on top of the pen. Of course, you know, you can't really fix that too much, but you can do it a little bit, and it's kind of nice to see how the white gel pen reacts with the alcohol marker when the marker is on top of the white gel pen. Here I'm doing the lashes, also really satisfying to draw. I love it. I do have some lashes tutorial on my shorts, so if you guys wanna check that out, but you see what I'm doing, right? It's basically draw like the letter J coming from the line that's like right on top, like the eyeliner line, and then of course on the other eye you do like the opposite letter J. So it's not like a straight line coming up from the eye, it curves down and then up. Here I'm doing some like extra shading on the lips. If you have a neutral blender marker, which is like the marker that doesn't have any color and it's just for blending, you can smooth the transitions a little more between the colors if you are interested in that. I honestly don't want to do it because I really like this effect. Like, I like that the colors are really marked, except for the chin. I hate what I did on her chin. It's really like screaming to me, but maybe you didn't notice that I'm not really happy with the chin. But other than that, yeah, you can just keep intensifying the shadows. And I also find that like the fine liner can help us align the eyes a little bit. Of course, if your eyes are not aligned well in your sketch, like, it's hard to fix that when you're coloring. But with the fine liner at the end, you can kind of like make your eyeliner line higher on one eye and lower on the other eye, and kind of like make it seem a little bit more aligned. So this is a little bit what I'm doing here. And this was the process of coloring this face. I hope you enjoyed it. As I mentioned before, the reference I used is in the description. If it's not, it's because I didn't find it again, but I'm pretty sure I can find it again. It's a really popular picture on Pinterest. I really hope you like this video. Let me know what you think about this format of me narrating the drawing and kind of like showing a slower process where you can follow along and kind of like see each brush stroke and each line that I make, and more calm process. Let me know what you think. I did cut some parts out because I didn't want to do a 2-hour long. This drawing kind of took me 2 hours, but with breaks. So yeah, let me know if you like the slower process, or if you prefer the step-by-step, like step 1, step 2, step 3, 10 minutes, it's over. I'm not gonna stop doing that. I'm gonna keep doing both, but I wanted to experience with a longer format, and I've had many requests of people asking me how to draw and how to sketch faces, which might be one of my next videos. Tell me if you're interested in face sketching. I feel like there's so much of that already on YouTube, probably better than whatever I could teach, but you know, I guess each artist has its own different perspective. So if you guys are interested in my perspective and how I do it, how I sketch, I can talk more about that. I can talk more about the whole like shapes and angles method, and like there's so much we can do, like a whole class on this. So if you guys want a long class on this, like a 1 hour long, 30-minute long class on this, I can show you. And this is literally like, this was like this shift when I started drawing well in my life. I told you guys, I was a teenager. I loved to draw and I thought it was good, but when I went to that class, and I did one class with this teacher that taught me this method, and he just completely changed my whole perspective on drawing. He taught me how to draw, okay? And this method, like, I swear by it. I learned how to draw using that method. Let me know if you're interested. I can talk more about that and teach you guys how to do it. It is a game changer. Like and follow if you want, no pressure. Check out my classes. I have links in the descriptions for free Skillshare classes if you guys want to watch my classes there. Those are classes that are way more like planned out and project based. They're really, really cool. And this is it for today, guys. I'll see you again next week. Bye.